Sunny Kutcher is executive director of Young Americans Against Socialism, and she joins me now. Sunny, so great to see you. So I just got to ask you straight up, which of those two parties would you have rather gone to?
That's a really tough choice. I don't know. I'd have to say, I'd like to see both of them before I make my final decision. But, Bill de Blasio said the best love song to New York. As a native New Yorker, I reject that notion. It sounded more like the Grim Reaper's anthem. This less than desirable music, a Canadian singer singing at the New York City mayor's inauguration. And then shortly after, as you mentioned, Mayor Mamdani has now appointed an Al-Qaeda terrorist. He's the defender of an Al-Qaeda terrorist. That does not scream American values to me. And I think that is why we set out to send this message to young Americans that socialism is not the answer, that you might be looking for these promises that Mayor Mamdani is selling. But that's exactly it. It's just a selling point that is built on lies and deception. And that is what it has always been. Its intention, as Karl Marx said, the father of Marxism, is to dethrone God and destroy capitalism. And I think that the hundreds million lives that have been taken due to the collectivist and Marxist, socialist, communist ideologies would beg to differ that collectivism is warm.
It's interesting. We hear a lot these days from a lot of those same voters talking about fascism. And they don't seem to draw the connection between fascism and what Mamdani just came right out and said, collectivism.
Absolutely. And anything that's going to usher in big government control feeds right into the hands of what socialists want. And that is exactly what happened in Cuba. Fidel Castro was actually elected by its people, and then he proceeded to change the constitution and declare himself a dictator. Now, we can't speculate that this would happen here, but the pattern is that democratic socialists, they say that just to soften the blow, soften the pill of what socialism really is. But all that it is centralizing power. And young people think, okay, well, if we give the government more power, that'll be better. They'll distribute it more equally. But that truly, at its core, goes against the entire value system of what this country was built upon, what the founding fathers knew. They saw they came from a monarchy, they came from authoritarianism, and they knew that in order to protect those freedoms, the government is actually there to support us. We tell the government this is what we need. And as he said, he's ushering big government. He said, if you're someone who thinks that big government isn't here to stay, you are wrong, and we will intervene. And that is just could not be more of a red flag for communist control.
What would you like to see conservatives do to do a better job of reaching young people with a more honest and hopeful message?
I think the hope is to come back to the core of what American way of life is really all about. Freedom of opportunity, equality in character, treating people the way that you would treat yourself, respect, and also small government. Like I mentioned earlier, that the government is there to work for us. Socialism only kills and destroys. It will take away and promises it will give you everything and more. That's what the Russian Revolution was on: bread, land, and peace. And what did they get? Starvation and death. Right. And that's what our organization, Young Americans Against Socialism, YAAS.org is where you can go to support, is why we interview survivors of these countries so that people can actually share their stories and you can hear the reality, not these lies that these democratic socialists will have you think that it truly is. Socialism is death and destruction, and that's all it is.
100 million people killed by under socialism over the past century. Sunny Kutcher, thank you so much for joining us.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.